Welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a good Easter. And today we're going to be talking about fault code 1925. I ended up going down to Jake's to take a look at a truck that actually drove in, didn't have to get towed, with 1925 active. So we're going to do an overview of the parts of the engine that are involved in that fault or in the logging of it, and then we're going to take a look at what happened, and I'll show you the before and after once we fix the problem. And then we'll do a walkthrough on the troubleshooting that I decided to do just to save time. So without further ado, let's take a look. This is our fault list, and at the top you'll see that 1925 is active. Now I've got a couple lines drawn from 1925 to a couple other faults. So when 1925 goes active, the engine can't regen the diesel particulate filter. So if you keep driving, eventually 2639 will come active, and then after that eventually 1921 will become active. And if you keep on driving, 1922 becomes active, and then you have to tow the vehicle because you're locked at 5 miles an hour. Okay, so this guy was lucky he got back to Jake's shop when 1921 was active. And remember, 1921 comes active when you have a pretty high soot load, and the only way to clear that fault is go through a complete regen. And even if you put a new diesel particulate filter in, you still have to go through a complete regen because the ECM sort of has to count down the soot load as the time goes on in that regen. It's not measured real world when it comes to that fault staying active. The only way to make it inactive is the complete stationary regen. Okay, let's move on. Now, you see fault 6416 there towards the bottom. That fault log's active when the driver has the after-treatment regeneration inhibit switch in the inhibit position. So the engine cannot regen even if it wants to. The driver would do that if he was in a place where he didn't want a lot of heat coming out of the exhaust. He might have been backed in a building picking up a container and there's flammable items in the building, so he would turn the inhibit on. If the engine requested a regen while that inhibit was on, then you'll get that fault logged. Those faults are not a big deal unless there's a lot of counts. That's the only count, and it gets towed in with a 1922, and 6416 is active, which means the driver had the after treatment inhibited and never shut that switch off so the engine could regen. Not what we're talking about in this case. Fault code 1928 at the bottom is our clue. Fault code 1928, the diagnostic runs for that whenever the key switch is on or when the engine is running. So it's pretty much continuous, engine running or not, key switch on, okay? And fault code 1928 means that the fuel pressure signal voltage was out of range low. So the normal signal voltage might be, example, 0.5 volt, and maybe the ECM saw 0 signal voltage. So here we've got a flow chart of the items on the engine that are involved and related to the logging of fault code 1925. First thing you need to know, and remember this, top right, number 2, that is the fuel pressure sensor that is located in the after treatment fuel block. It tells the engine, ECM, how much fuel pressure is in that block whenever the ECM is wanting to do a stationary regen or an active driving regen. So whenever the ECM decides to start a regen, or if Insite prompts it to start one, it's going to be looking at number 2. Now, at the moment, let's say the guy's driving down the road. At the moment the engine decides it wants to do a stationary regen, it looks at number 2's pressure, aftertreatment fuel control block. That pressure needs to be atmospheric pressure at that moment. So we know that barometrically speaking, let's say in Ohio, we're talking about 28.6 inches of mercury. Now, the sensors don't read in inches of mercury, they read in PSI, and they don't read absolute pressure, they read gauge pressure. So that's going to be 0. If you look at this in Insite on the data logger, the after-treatment fuel pressure should be 0 at that moment. The sensor's voltage will not be 0, but it'll be a small voltage like 0.5 volts or 0.63, something like that. So we're going to start back at the on-engine fuel filter housing, because driving down the road, there's pressure in there. That pressure goes through that red arrow where it says gear pump pressure from filter head, and it goes to the shutoff valve, number 1. That shutoff valve has got pressure against it all day, but when the system wants to start the regen, it looks at number 2. If the pressure is 0, then it turns number 1 on to let fuel pressure in there. The fuel pressure would then go, the red arrow going vertically down to the after-treatment fuel injector mounted behind the turbo. The ECM would turn number 3 on, which is the injector pulse fuel out. When it's done and the regen's over, the system is going to clean all the fuel out of that injector so that it doesn't carbon up from heat, because there's a lot of heat back there. So it turns number 1 off, and it opens up letter C, after treatment air purge valve, turns that on, and the air pressure from the truck air tank goes up through the purge valve into the after treatment control block. And then it blows all the fuel out of the block because the injector number 3 is enabled, and it blows all the fuel out and air goes through, and you end up with just air in the lines and in the injector mounted behind the turbo. Then the system shuts off C, after treatment air purge valve. The pressure drops back to 0. It shuts number 3 off. You go down the road, the world is good. If any pressure is read on that fuel pressure sensor when there shouldn't be pressure, you will log fault code 1925. This is the after treatment fuel control block, and number 1 is the after treatment fuel pressure on-off switch. That turns on the fuel pressure that's coming from the filter head, and it stops at that switch. Number 2 is the fuel pressure sensor that measures if there's any pressure in that housing at all. This little solenoid is the air solenoid that the ECM turns on to allow truck tank air pressure to go into the after treatment fuel control valve, fuel control block. And that block, by the way, is right below this. You can't see it in the picture, but we'll see it in the next picture. So here we backed up a little bit. Number 1 is the air solenoid control. Number 2 is the after treatment fuel block. 3 is the fuel pressure sensor. 4 is the after treatment fuel pressure solenoid or switch. And number 5 is the steel line that goes behind the head and around to the turbo to send that fuel to the top of the fuel dosing valve on the back of the turbo. This is the dosing injector on the back of the turbo, and the yellow arrow is the actual injector, and the green arrow is the fuel line. Now you're going to see a video coming up where I remove the fuel line that the green arrow is pointing to, put a piece of extension hose on it, and run it into a bucket. And what I did is I started the engine, and I looked, and you'll see it. We had like 95 psi in that fuel block. So if there's 95 in the after-treatment fuel control block, there's 95 in this line. So when I took that line off and put it into a bucket and started the truck up, I was either going to have fuel coming out of the line, if the after-treatment fuel shutoff solenoid was leaking, or I'm going to have air coming out of the line if the air purge solenoid is failed and it's allowing truck air tank air to run over that injector constantly. Now, once that injector shuts, if we're leaking air into the air fuel control block, the air will build up to whatever tank air pressure is. It's only released when this injector is opened, and the injector is only opened at the very end of the purging process to dump all the air out. So I remove that line, and we'll take a look at what happened in the next couple of videos. When we started the truck, I did not see any fuel come out of that line. And so I put my finger over it because I knew we had full air pressure on the air tanks, and I'm not feeling any air pressure come out of that line. So no fuel, no air. That tells me that the after-treatment fuel control valve is working and the after-treatment air purge solenoid is working. So that pretty much leaves the fuel pressure, after-treatment fuel pressure sensor being the culprit. So let's take a look. What we did is Jake had an old housing that he had changed, after-treatment fuel control housing. We took that housing and we took the fuel pressure sensor out of it and we screwed it into the housing that was on the engine. Now you're going to see at the end of this video what the fuel pressure was with the engine idling, not requesting a regen. And what should that be? It should be 0. That's right. Now right here is key on, engine off, and I've got 98 psi in the after-treatment fuel pressure housing. So I know that it is a sensor failure because the engine's not running and there's no air pressure in the air tanks. And here with the replacement fuel pressure sensor in, we've got normal values. Problems fixed. Now, if you were paying attention, there might be a couple of things you noticed in there that you had questions about. So I'm going to explain them now. First of all, the first video clip at the end of the movie where I'm looking at the data logger, you notice the pressure was changing a little bit. And if you looked, you saw that we were reading NOx. And you don't read NOx with the key off. What was happening is they had the engine idling, and I'm looking at this value, and then I told them shut it off and flip the key right back on. And as soon as the engine quit turning over, he flipped the key on, but it was still showing NOx reading, and the pressure on that sensor, which was failed, was going up and down. So that explains that. Number two, did anybody notice what the soot load was? Go back and look what the soot load was. Okay, the soot load was 6.20. That should have been a 1922. And because 1921 goes active, if I recall, when you hit about 2.75 inches of soot load. For sure, 3.5. after that, you're going to have an active 1921. Usually, what I was used to seeing is when you hit 4.0 to 4.50, that's when you went into 1922. I think what happened on this is when the sensor was failing and it kept locking the regen system out, and I think for some reason when that fault was active, that the ECM wasn't paying attention to soot load and after treatment plugging related faults. That's the only explanation I have for that, because at 6.20 inches of soot load, we should have been in a full-blown 1922, and we weren't. The guy drove it in. Now, I mentioned that to Jake and, told him probably ought to clean this filter before we do anything else. So he addressed that. Okay, thanks for joining me on Engine Shop Joe. I hope this was clear. If you have any questions, put it in the comments and I'll try to clear it up. Thanks again for joining me on Engine Shop Joe.